Well, good afternoon and welcome to TA Thursday, Business Series 3, Creating Competitive, Responsible, and Responsive Bids. This event is being recorded for educational purposes. I'm Alicia Drake, the TA Team's Program Coordinator and today's moderator. We also have with us Mike Neal, our Tollway Consultant and Strategic Partner, along with Nita Sharp, Program Director of Development. Today's business series is designed for you to learn about how to create competitive, responsible, and responsive bids. We want your business to move forward, grow, establish connections, and flow with new possibilities. You will hear directly from subject matter experts with years of experience. Also, you'll also have contact or contract opportunities that will be covered by Roderick Drew, Diversity Manager from the Illinois Tollway Program Management Office. Keep in mind, our subject matter experts provide services to our TA clients at no cost. For those interested in becoming TA clients, please email us at programs@chicagomsdc.org. I'll post that in chat shortly. As usual, consultations with our subject matter experts do not guarantee a contract for your company. Now, participants, you will be muted, and presenters will unmute to share their presentations. We will ask that you post your questions in chat, and they will be addressed during the Q&A after each presentation. If not, questions will be compiled and then sent to the presenters for follow-up. Now, for those of you who want to know how to open up the chat, here at the top, there's a little bubble icon that says Show Conversation. You'll click on that. And then down here, you'll see where you can type your message, and above, like you see, Gabriel has said hello. You'll see that in the responses. Thank you for that. Now, in an effort to continue providing you with valuable information, please complete our TA Thursday survey that will be emailed to you at the conclusion of today's event. At this time, we will bring forth our President and CEO of Chicago MSDC, Vince Williams, to share a few words, followed by Nita Sharp. Vince?
Can you hear me now? I've learned to say this now, right? Hey, everyone, how are you? Thank you so much for attending today's TA Thursday. My name is Vince Williams. I'm the president and CEO of the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. Thank you so much to Alicia and Nita and all of the participants, if you will, for this program. This is an outstanding opportunity for us to help build capacity, if you will, for you organizations that are looking to do business with the Illinois Tollway. What we're hoping to do is curate and nurture these relationships, as well as provide these resources so that each of you will learn more, again, about what it takes to do business with them, but not just the Tollway, some of the other opportunities that presents themselves here to the Chicago Council. Right now, we have about 1,000 certified minority businesses. I'm looking at a big picture of Jose. Hey, Jose. I think you got that up there, Alicia, instead of the other thing that you had up there that could have been the actual agenda. But either way, to identify additional opportunities with other businesses, strategic private entities, as well as municipalities that are looking for the product or services that you do at your respective companies. And so again, what we're hoping to do is have these types of webinars that allow you to work on your business while you're working in your business. So we'd love your feedback. We get opportunities all the time from organizations that are looking to provide free resources for you, but then also we have the subject matter expertise like who we have on today. We've got Isaac Bishop from CCC, Philip, I'm gonna probably say the wrong name here. Is it Bonius? Bonius, I hope that's right. And Samuel Jones, that's going to each talk about the bidding and estimating, and they're all from Comprehensive Construction Consulting. And then we're going to go into a little bit of Q&A of bid opportunities with Mr. Drew from the Illinois Tollway Programs Management Office. So again, if there's other ideas, initiatives, things that you think that would be a value add for you from this organization, again, at no cost to you, please reach out to myself, Nita, Alicia of the program. We have advisors, counselors that can help work with you on creating and nurturing these bids, on writing the narratives, making sure that everything's in order, and then even the technological software. Come into us here. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that we'll be able to get back to in-person meetings and things like that in Q3 and Q4 of this year. But those are the types of opportunities that we want to continue to share with you from the council. So thank you all again for participating. We're looking forward to it. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, any of our social media sites to see what's forthcoming, if you will, with some of the great programs that we have. But I appreciate you all and thank you all for attending again today. Thanks, team. And I'll turn it over to Nita Sharp, Director of Program Development for the Council.
Thank you so much, Vince. Welcome, everyone. So glad to have you. I'd also like to introduce our newest member of the organization, Jose. Glad to have you with us today as well.
Thank you very much, Nita, and thanks everyone for attending this webinar. I did not want to take too much time because what the purpose of these webinars is to provide valuable information. And just to add to what Vince just said, this is an open door. We are here to help. We are a team of experts that our mission and passion is to help others, especially our members, to evolve, to develop, and to find new opportunities. So please reach out. We are here to help and happy to have you in participating in this webinar. And let's just get going. It's getting late.
Okay, wonderful. All right, let's jump right in, dive right in. Again, the topic today is creating a competitive, responsible, and responsive bid. How does your bid compare with the competition? Are you being responsible? Are you being responsive to each of the sections of the bid? We're going to dive right in, starting off with comprehensive construction consulting, one of our subcontractors here at Chicago MSDC. So I will pass the mic to Isaac Bishop, the Chief Technical Officer at CCC, to get things started. All yours, Isaac.
Thanks, Nita. I really appreciate it. Berta, can you put the slide up for me, please?
Yep, hold on.
Well, while they're getting the slide up, what this really is about is how do we increase your bid ratio? You know, most of the time when contractors are bidding a job, sometimes they're getting as small as 1 out of every 35 jobs they're bidding. And when you're doing that, that's costing you a lot of money putting together a lot of bids, and you ended up bidding a lot of the wrong jobs or underbidding a job, trying to capture a job so that you can keep your forces working. And what this program that we've developed is it's going to help you bid the right jobs and not underbid those jobs so that you can make money and that you can win more of the jobs that you actually bid. All right, great, we got it up there. This is a 10-step coaching system. And this system is designed to help you win more bids so that you get to the point that you're winning 1 out of 4 bids that you put together. The system is going to help you find the right job. It's going to prevent you from having cost and schedule overrun so that you get the job done at the right price on the day that you said you're going to get it done at the level of quality that the client is looking for. So this will help you prevent from diminishing the profits that you're going to make. But it's not just about bidding. You really have to have a good understanding of the RFP. Because if you don't have a good understanding of the RFP, you can A, get disqualified, or B, underbid the work because you haven't looked at all of the requirements of the work. And so we're going to help you really look at that RFP and give you our system to make sure you've covered everything. And then, of course, you're going to develop the estimate. And the estimate is really a small part of bidding the work. Everyone thinks that it's the most important thing, and it is important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing, you start out by bidding the right job. But this program is also going to help you prepare to win a bid. Next slide, please. The system is about the difference between bidding and estimating. Bidding is really about providing a proposal. That's a strategic activity, and it's how you calculate that final cost. And estimating is really a tactical activity, and that's how you calculating the cost that is going to take you and your forces to actually do the work. That's what your internal cost is. It's what it's going to cost you physically to get the work done. But that may not be your final cost. And let's talk about why that is. Next slide, please. An example of strategy versus tactical is what job will I be in? You've got to first figure out, well, is this the kind of work that I do? Is this where my competitive advantage lies? And then the technical part of it is, well, do I need a lift or do I need a bobcat? But also another strategy is that, let's say you're doing government work. You've already figured out the exact cost of doing the work. But sometimes when you're doing government work, that work may take a little bit more than private sector work. So you might have to raise your number by 10% because you're covering the extra time that it's going to take to comply with the additional government rules that you might not have doing that same work on the private sector. That's part of that strategic decision that you have to make as you're submitting your bid. So basically, as you go through that bidding process, you start out with strategy, you go to tactical, and then you're back to strategy. So it's a back and forth process all the way through. And that's what our coaches are designed to help you navigate between strategy to tactic, the strategy, back to tactic, the strategy, as you're turning in that final bid. And those coaches are there, and we've got some specialty coaches for you today. We've got one on concrete, one for electrical work, and one for excavation work. And they're going to talk about some of the jobs that are available, posted right now, that you guys can bid on, that they can help you go through the process with. Now, I want you to know that when you start out with this process, depending on where you are, it may take 5 hours to work with your coach. It could take 20 hours to work with your coach. It really depends on where you are as a company, but you really need to employ the coach to make sure that you've got a second set of eyes looking at what you're doing, helping you make the best business decisions you can make for yourself. So we're going to start out with going over that 10-step process with Peter. Peter, can you share that process with them, please?
I sure can, Isaac. I'm Peter Balianis with Comprehensive Construction Consultants, and let me take you through the 10 steps we have come up with. To begin with, you want to review past bids. You can find a lot of previous information through Tollway, IDOT, Chicago DOT, county websites, and get previous bids that you may want to review so you get an idea for what's going on with them as they are submitted. They are as submitted. Determine if bids have a similar pay item and quantities. This is similar is important, but also looking for something that you can see as you doing. So that's kind of important too. So let's go to the next slide. Well, wait a minute. Sorry, go back. My bad. I'm going too fast. Look for projects that are in alignment with your area of expertise. This is very important. Compared to previous clients, general contractors, and DOTs, reach out to a client you had maybe on the private sector or a GC you sub to on a DOT job, and review your performance and review, your success, and ask them, what was it I really succeeded at, and what was it you liked about my work? Look for projects that are in line with that. Ensure projects have similar scope to confirm similar scope of work. Meaning, like I'm doing earthwork, structure excavation are clean cut lines for concrete to be installed. Mass earthwork and embankment is huge earth moving equipment. So you got to make sure you have the same scope. You can now go to the next slide, Berta. Okay, so number 3 here, review scope of your work with your coach to confirm the work is in alignment with your company's competitive advantage. This is also very important because we need to find profitability in the current bid through the scope and production rates. Almost every company, calculates their cost. Profitability is at the end of the estimate mostly. So it's important that your coach and you look at this. The coaches have had the time doing this, so they'll be able to help you with that. And that's very important too. All this is very important to the bidding process. And preparing your cost estimate, this is the client only. The client, I had the last client prepare their estimate and convert it into pay item units and cost, including the special provisions that can modify the unit cost estimating. What I found here was leaving the client to perform this work at their own experiences, abilities that they have learned and learned from us, and getting that fully finished and reviewed, and then come to the coach. So that brings us to number 5. Review your estimate with your coach. Coach and client review entire cost estimate to find and evaluate any discrepancies or miscalculations, spreadsheets and/or estimating software. This is big. This is probably one of the most important steps. Looking for different ways to come to the same conclusion, finding a different way to calculate something is always a great way to confirm the first way was accurate. No bid is perfect. That's why it's an estimate in the interim until it becomes your bid. So that's very important. The estimating is really, truly something that the person that's doing the work has to be entirely involved with. So it's good to do that in-house only. Number 5, review your estimate with your coach. Coach and client review entire cost estimate to find and evaluate any discrepancies. We did that one. Can you scroll up, please, a little bit, Berta? So what this is going to say is client to create. Hang on. Client revises estimate and needed, and then we'll repeat that step. It'll go back to coach and client when your estimate needs revisions. This way, we're QCing and QAing, together and showing them this is where your spreadsheet accidentally pulled the wrong formula, or this is where your summation doesn't have your taxes or whatever cost in there. So number 5 is big. Let's go to number 6. Review RFIs and addendums with your coach. This is also a very important thing to do. Request for information is bidders saying, okay, I went to the pre-bid and I have these questions. How come you're showing earth X in a structure X area? How come mass earth is not paid for when it's embankment? Addendums were usually issued after an RFI. An addendum comes out with those RFIs or any questions. But one thing that you need to know here is just because an addendum was issued does not mean or guarantee a new bid date. This just happened on the last IDOT letting. So that's pretty important. Checking for any bid document updates. That can happen rarely, but there are design changes the designer catches due to the questions from the RFIs and addendums. So you gotta stay on top of that. Number 7, confirming bidders list. Possible added bidders or plan holders declining to enter a bid. You'll see the bidders list, who bought the plans, who they are. They are probably at the pre-bid. And some of the bidders will go online and say, I'm declining to bid even though I have the plans. This lets other bidders know they're not going to be in competition with them. So that's important to know as you get really close to the bid. Number 8 is prepare bid documentation. This is also a client activity. The client will go through this and assemble all required bid documentation for a complete proposal. And it's a lot to put together. I usually recommend you get it in order. You put it the way you're going to propose it, and you go through it from front to back. And then you give it to someone else to go through it in your company to go through it front to back. I used to be the 3rd person that reviewed these. So it's key that happens. Number 9 is review special provisions and schedules required for the bid. The client to create a checklist. Checklists are, as you'll hear from all of us, checklists are great because they remind us when you're in the end of doing this proposal and it's the last 2 days and you're getting calls and suppliers are dropping their costs. Maybe they really want to go to work with you. You got to remember to go through a checklist of items detailed in the special provisions and shown in the schedule of quantities, which we will be addressing on the next slide, which is incidental pay items. If you could go to the next slide, please, Berta. Okay, so here's an earthwork schedule on one of the upcoming tollway bids, I-19 4475, and it's a widening job on 57. And you'll see here, the designer per the client's request, has put together an earthwork schedule, and everything's got a pay item under it. Earth excavation is the 202-100, earth excavation benching. He's got all these pay items. Look to your right, embankment doesn't have a pay item. So that's telling me that's incidental construction. So you need to take the cost of that 2,673 cubic yards and work it into the cost of the other items that will be paid. That's very important. Sometimes people come to the job and go, yeah, I'm doing this and that. And you go, well, you're doing that too. And he goes, well, no, I didn't bid on that. Well, you don't bid on incidental items. Incidental cost has to be worked into your base bid units. Let's go to the next one, please, Berta. And here it is. This is another job, also tollway, which was on the last letting. And here, there was so much incidental work. The tollway had their consultant put a schedule together of earthwork that's incidental. So all of these are items and volumes you will have to do the work for, and you will not be paid for. So this incidental work is very important. This I can't stress it enough. It can hurt you can walk on the job on day one, and you already have lost profit. You've already lost profit on day one. So this is very important. So let's go to the summation at number 10, please, Bert, on the last slide. So review your bid with your coach prior to submitting bid. And what you'll do is you'll be checking all prepared documents for missing pertinent information. A lot of stuff goes into it, and it's good to have the coach there and keep notes with what the coach is saying to you. You know, sometimes I'll say, you know, if you want voice to record what I'm saying to you, that's fine, but let's go over it together. So it's very important to check all documents. Confirm that all required insurance bonding, MBDB, has been met and attached. Check required certifications are not expired. This has happened way too many times, and it's a problem. So you got to make sure your certs are up to date. And, you know, if you have to get a certification, you might be too late at bid time. Sometimes they can be forgiving. Review unit bid price index with scope and conditions of bid proposal. This is something I do right towards the end. You know, I've already downloaded price indexing, and it's in a spreadsheet, and I can put my final bid dollars in there and see where I am. Am I higher than some guys? Am I lower than some guys? It's something I do right towards the end. And finally, confirm base bid cost and profit with prior clients and projects. A client that you have and you've done work with, you can always go back to them and say, were you as profitable on my work as I was profitable? How did you do with having me on your project? How did that go for you as well as me? Because almost every GC builds in some kind of administrative cost for their subcontractors. So it's important to talk to clients in all the projects you've been on. And that's pretty much the summation of all 10 of these 10-step new program that we've put out, and I'm glad I got to work on Coach to Win 10-step system for developing competitive, responsive bids. And I'll turn it over to the next person.
Well, thank you, Peter. I really appreciate that. But one of the things I really want to stress is like one of that we talked about in the 10-step program is looking at the bidders list. That can be so very important to developing a good strategy. For example, the initial bidder list shows everybody who's been out there, but then it also, when you go back and look at it the second time, you'll learn who's going to actually bid the work. So you don't want to put a bid together, be giving it to somebody who's not even going to bid the work. Secondly, you know what your competition looks like by knowing who has the bid, and that helps you make a decision. Should I bid this job because I know who my competition is? Additionally, you can also look at it and say, well, if this job has 3 or 4 different trades, maybe I want to perform as a general contractor. And I can see all the other people who are bidding this job, and I can partner with them as I go through the process. So I really want to stress looking at that 10-step program and looking for strategic opportunities for success. With that said, I want to go to Sam now, and Sam has some really excellent ideas that he can give you about concrete work as it relates to bidding that work. Sam?
Thank you, Isaac. As Isaac mentioned, my name is Sam Jones from Comprehensive Construction and Consulting, And I want to dive into the concrete portion of a particular project that we looked at. I'm going to piggyback off of what Peter had talked about, but this is more specific to concrete. And if you look on the screen there, this is an example of the Veterans Memorial Tollway I-355 Plaza 99 in Spring Creek. Concrete scope. Not much of a scope here. However, there is enough scope to where there's concrete patching to install new quantum loop conduit stub-ups. So once the quantum loop conduit stub-ups go in, there was trenching, saw cutting. Now the stub-ups are in. So now we come back with the concrete patching and the patching of the trench and backfill. So a lot of that, what it includes is that some of these items, next slide, please, can include the wire mesh, dowel bars, stone, compaction, concrete, and curing compound. Now, this scope of work is typically what we would use, but not, it could be more depending on what the scope, what the specifications call for, which will be part of the bid documents. So next slide, please. So now let's dive into the process to where we put together a bidding strategy. So once you get the invitation to bid or the ITB, then you put together the strategy, and as it was mentioned before, does it make sense to bid the project? This is kind of a go or no go that you would have internally to say, do we bid, do we not bid? If you bid, then you do certain things like set what your OH&P will be. And a lot of this will be based on who the bidders are, who's your competition. Sometimes based on your competition, you need to shrink your OH&P a little bit, cut down your margins a little bit so you can be more competitive. But that's with historical data that you know. That's also knowing, again, who your bidders are. Once that's set, then, hey, how do we give ourselves an edge? Maybe we do some value engineering, some VE to provide some of the same items or same quality items, but then for less, for a smaller cost. The coach can kind of walk you through that. If there are any questions that come up during the bidding stage, submit an RFI. So then you could have a more comprehensive bid, because then you're not asking questions. You know exactly what you're bidding, how you're bidding it based on RFI and the response you get per that RFI. You want to put together a schedule as well. You need to know how long it's going to take you to do the work. So then your general conditions can be based on the schedule that you put together. So you could create your best way to be profitable, set yourself up for success. Does the project have liquidated damages? Does the project have bonuses? That's also something that you would look for, because that'll kind of dictate how you bid, how you schedule your work as well. Again, if you have past bids and historical data, that'll help you out as well. So then once you get into construction, then submittals, you put together your submittals. And so then once submittals will get approved, then you can go ahead and buy your items. You can go ahead and procure your items for the job, your mix design, your product data, that sort of thing. While you're going through the project, financial pieces. So how to put together a pay application, timely processing of the pay application so you get paid in a timely manner. Change management, when change orders come up, submit those in a timely manner so you can get paid for those, timely, and not let them drag out. Also, project closeout, warranty letters. Project closeout is just as important as the actual project goals, because that gets you your final payment. That helps close the job out, so then you're more successful. The final payment doesn't get dragged out, and you're able to dictate what your profit is and be able to put it in your pocket and be ready to move on to the next project. And that's all I have for my slides, or my presentation, rather.
Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate that. Historical data is so important to being successful with your biz. But what do you do if you don't have historical data? And it's pretty hard sometimes to figure out what to do if you don't have the historical data. But let's say you can probably go to a government agency, if you're bidding at a government agency, and you can get a list of the people who submitted a bid and what their bid numbers were in the past by simply just going to that agency. And if you know that particular job, looking at the bulletin and seeing what jobs have already been bidded, and it's easy enough to get a list of who the bidders were and what their numbers are. But as far as the actual data that was enclosed in that bid, that's something that you would have to get yourself, or if you've had a business partner that you've worked with who you've got a good relationship with, you might ask them to share one of their bids with you, or working with your coach can help coach you through, if you don't really have historical data, how to set up a system for getting historical data so that you can utilize that to win successful bids, because that can be pretty important throughout the whole process. Even as you talked about that bidding strategy, when you're looking at your competition, that helps you decide, do I use my top guy on this job, or can I use my middle of the line guy who can perform this job? Who you are bidding against helps you make that strategic decision about who you're going to have working on that given job. But let's move on to talk about some of the electrical portions of the jobs that are available to bid now with the tollway. Berta, can you share that with us?
Yes. Good afternoon. My name's Berta, and I'm a project manager at Comprehensive Construction Consulting. And as my previous colleagues have stated, prior to choosing your bid, you really want to ensure that you're bidding projects that you've successfully bid, constructed, and made a profit on before. We really want to eliminate bidding projects that cost you money, and we want to focus on the ones that will make you money. And we're available to help you through this process if you need some kind of direction or anything. But I'm going to be referencing also the same plaza modification, the Spring Green, project number 4563. And electrically, similar projects that someone would have completed would have involved exterior electrical work, underground installation, equipment procurement, and low voltage work. We as a group are available to help you guys in reviewing the contract documents, going to site visits, pre-bid meetings, and estimates. When you are reviewing the contract documents, you want to be sure to confirm what work you're going to perform and the material that you're supposed to provide. For example, with the plaza modifications, there are requirements for PVC coated steel conduit and minimum sizes for these conduits. This item could be costly if you don't include it as part of your bid. It's not a usual item. In some construction work, it is for the tollway because they want the longevity of the material to last. Also, as Sam was saying, we have concrete cutting and saw cutting and patching. Is this going to be in your scope? Is it going to be in the electrical scope, or will we have the concrete guy? Will he be doing that scope? For demolition, anything that you have that needs to be salvaged or stored, or is it returned to the owner, or is it being thrown away? You want to make sure that you take this into account when you do your bid. Generally, also, all this information is found in the notes portion of the section of all the documents. So be careful to read all the notes on the drawings. These notes are job specific and provide a lot of detailed information for this project. Also included in this package and a lot of the other remodeling projects is an informational drawing sheet. Please note, this drawing is usually, or it's always, just for reference only, and it's really not part of your bidding portion of the project. It provides information on existing conditions and is there for your reference, for you to review and to see. Typically, there is nothing on this sheet that would require for you to put a cost to it. It's not part of the bidding process. Also, again, with the RFIs, if there's any information that is missing or conflicting notes, ask the questions. All projects, whether it's tollway or any private type of work, they always have an allotted time so that questions can be asked by the bidders. You want to submit your questions to the GC or to the owner or whoever is collecting the information to get to the architect or engineers in order to provide you an answer to your question. For the plaza modifications, you really want to make sure that you have the schedule right down, because for this plaza, there are certain areas in the drawings that indicate demolition of certain equipment and material that needs to be coordinated with the general contractor or the tollway, because other areas cannot be demoed or worked on until the first portion is completed. So you always want to confirm the schedule with your general contractor so that you can include, that downtime in your costs. The other thing is reviewing your bid. We can, after completing your bid, you want to review it and make sure that you've encompassed everything that you need. We are here, to coach. Your coach will be with you to submit your bid, to help you review it, confirm who's bidding the job. As Peter had stated previously, some general contractors, tend to decide that they don't want to bid the job anymore. And you really don't want to send your number to somebody who's not bidding, because it's just a waste of time. And especially if you're only sending it to that person, then you've lost all that bidding time. Make sure that you've included everything and review everything with your coach. And we're here to help you and guide you and hopefully get you to be more successful in bidding the projects. Thank you. So Nita, I'll throw it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Berta. And thank you, CCC, each of you for presenting today. We appreciate your time and the expertise that you've brought to us with this topic. And let's see, we are at 4:40, so I'm going to hand things off to Rod Drew with the Illinois Tollway so he can jump right into the bid letting schedule, and then we'll get all remaining questions answered. Thank you, Rod. I pass the mic to you.
Okay, well, thank you. Nice to be on the call today. My name is Roderick Drew. I'm with the Tollways Program Management Office, assisting the Diversity Department in executing their programs and initiatives to help increase access to economic opportunities for small, diverse, veteran, women-owned businesses. In the interest of time, I'm going to kind of speed through this a little bit. And I do have some slides, though, that I do want to share. So I'm going to hijack the screen for a moment. So the Tollway has launched this year a small business initiative. It's where they've identified certain contracts and certain project scopes that are perfect for small businesses, and actually they are only available for registered prime and subcontractors who are registered small businesses with the state. Some of the contracts, depending on how large they are, will have self-performance goals. It can go up to 40%. There are 3 tiers of contracts, generally $1 million or less, 1 to 3 million, and 3 to 5 million. The first prerequisite, again, is to be a registered small business with the state. There's a second step that will require you to register in the Tollways Small Business Initiative program. There are a number of contracts or project scopes, primarily demolition, electrical, vertical work, structural work, landscaping, grading and drainage, and general roadway construction. An example that's been mentioned on the call already are these plaza improvement contracts. So these contracts involve really, the Tollway has already announced that they will no longer have toll collectors collecting cash at toll booths. They're going to go to an all electronic system. So they will begin dismantling those toll booths and returning them to its original state pre-toll booth. So there are at least 9 contracts that will be let between now, or will be advertised between now and the end of March. These contracts will range anywhere from under $1 million to 1 to 3 million. They involve sign installation and removal, pavement and infrastructure improvements, some electrical work, pavement marking, and very important is maintenance of traffic to make sure that these contracts are performed, this work is performed safely. I am going to show you where you can find these contracts. If I can get out. I assume I'm still sharing my screen.
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. So this is the Tollway's website, or their homepage, illinoistollway.com.
There, you aren't there, Rod.
Okay, so we're going to go to the doing business section. And there are two ways you can do this. You can go to construction and engineering.
Rod, we're still on your screen. We're still looking at your presentation.
My presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. So let me get this right. Give me a moment. Okay, so let me start all over. All right, so we're on the Tollway's homepage, illinoistollway.com. When you go to this page, sorry about that. You can go up to the menu, click Doing Business. It will take you to the construction and engineering section. You can go to bids and bulletins, and they have a bid letting schedule. You can go two ways. You can go for current construction bids, and that will take you toward the online plan room, or you can click on to the bid letting schedule. So the bid letting schedule is updated every 2 weeks by the Tollway. This version was just updated on Monday the 15th, so it's the most up-to-date information we have. The Tollway groups its work by a cost magnitude as well as where the projects are taking place. So you can, at a glance, by color code, following the legend, know where on the Tollway system generally this work is taking place. And for the small business initiative contracts that are marked SBI, you will be able to see at a glance whether or not, if it's a 1, then it's going to be $1 million or less. If it's a 2, it's going to be in that $1 to $3 million category. Or if it's an SBI 3, it will be $3 to $5 million. Also, all of the Tollway's SBI contracts have this ROSA, this rolling owner controlled insurance program, so that when you're putting together your bids for these projects, you do not have to worry about pricing your general liability insurance as the prime. The Tollway is providing that for you, and there's a risk manager that will work with the prime contractors and will work with the teams who win these bids to make sure, again, these projects are delivered safely. But the Tollway has removed that barrier, because that has historically been one of the impediments to small firms bidding as primes on Tollway projects, because the Tollway has very high general liability requirements as part of their trust indenture. So that liability insurance can go up as much as $25 million. It can be as low as 5 or 10, but most Tollway road projects have this $25 million liability insurance requirement for work on the roadway. So as you can see, there are a number of SBI contracts, and I'll just take a couple. We've got at least one that's opening tomorrow that I just highlighted, and it's one of the plaza improvement contracts. There are several others that will be opening up at the end of this month. We've got a second plaza improvement. We've got a tree planting, so landscaping, and we've got pavement repairs. The big thing is that if you get into the habit of going to the Tollway's website, going and checking every other week for the latest on the Tollway's bid letting schedule, Anything that you see highlighted in red, like for example, this portion, it's something that's changed from the previous version of the bid letting schedule. The dates can fluctuate, they can move up or down, and projects can appear brand new that were not on the previous iteration of the bid letting schedule from 2 weeks ago. We generally try to go out as far as 6 months out to give industry enough lead time and enough time to plan for these projects. But the plaza improvement projects are a great example of a need that was identified on the tollway system. This work was accelerated due to COVID, and taking those toll collectors for their safety and for customer safety off the system. And now they've made the decision to not have them return. They will find employment for as many of the toll collectors as possible, and they are working with the union, so it's not a matter of automatically people being out of a job. They will work with them to get them placed in other job responsibilities at the tollway, and that was something that was important. But in general, this work needs to, it's being advertised now. They expect it to be substantially complete by the end of this construction season. They need to get this work out of the way, or get this infrastructure out of the way. So it's a great opportunity for firms to partner together, electrical firms, demolition firms, anyone who does maintenance of traffic. That's a critical portion of it. And we're also looking at other improvements down the line. Access road construction is one. We've got some additional electrical work, ITS, preservation and rehab work going on the system. I expect that this ITS work will also be an SBI contract. Got some drainage and grading work that will go on that will be in the $3 to $5 million category. So this work will appear, and this will continue to be populated as the year goes on. The tollway is constantly looking at ways that they can put contracts under the SBI instead of having it go out under their job order, their JOC program, job order contracting program. And the plaza improvement projects are a great example of something that maybe 2 years ago would have been executed under their JOC program. And now they're using the SBI program to provide this opportunity, prime contracting opportunities for registered small businesses. So with that, I will turn it over I'll stop sharing and I will turn it back over to Nita.
Thank you very much, Roderick. We do appreciate that overview about the tollway, bid letting schedule. I do see one question. I think it was addressed somewhat earlier by CCC, but specific to the tollway, where can historic information be found on past bids?
I believe that you can submit a Freedom of Information request. There are also under that online plan room section, and I will coordinate with you, Nita. There may be a way that they post the full bid packages for contracts that have been awarded to the lowest bidder. It may not be everyone's bid, but it will at least be the low bidder or the person or the company that was awarded the work. So I will work with you and with Alicia, and we can send out a link to that so you can see that historical information.
Okay, thank you for that. So FOIA is the route to go for other entities as well when you're trying to get that historical information.
It may end up being that you can get the low bidder, the contract that was awarded. Mm-hmm. Actually, that information may already be online. In terms of other bids, it may end up having to be a Freedom of Information request.
Gotcha. Okay, and if a firm bidded and did not win, is it true that they can actually discuss their bid and get some insight from the tollway on why they didn't win or ways to improve moving forward?
Not so much on the construction side, certainly on the professional services side. If you submit a statement of interest and you're not selected, the tollway does and has been scheduling meetings with professional services firms to go over their submittals and to tell them where they ranked and to give advice. And the tollway has, at least on 3, maybe 4 occasions in the last couple of years, hosted workshops on submitting an effective statement of interest. So they have given general advice and guidance to firms that are looking to submit statements of interest.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure.
One question I have that may come up because we record our sessions and MBEs look at them later. If a firm is interested in professional services, where on the website, can you quickly go back to the website and show us where that can be found? So this is recorded and they can.
Sure. I'm going to, let me find it and then I'll click share screen.
Okay, thank you, because I know some professional services firms were on earlier, and just in case that comes up, I'd like them to have that information here.
Sure. Just give me a couple minutes.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, so now I will share. Okay, so if you go to the, if you go back to the Tollway's homepage and you click, here, we'll just go back. Doing business, diversity. There's the webinar series. And under the webinar series, they have what's coming up. And then they also have videos of past presentations. So here is the one that statement of workshop that Terry Miller and Paul Kovacs, sadly, our departing chief engineering officer, they just gave this presentation a couple of weeks ago. So it's as fresh as it gets. But you can go ahead and click that and it's already been uploaded to the Tollway's YouTube page. So you'll just click on it, it'll open up YouTube and then you can watch the entire presentation, including questions that came after their workshop. So it's so you can see any sorts of questions and that were posed by the firms that attended the workshop.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rod.
Sure.
Appreciate that. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up today's session. I don't see any more questions in the chat. So Alicia, I will pass the mic to you.
All right, thank you so much, Nita. Some of the information I'm about to say, I just posted in the chat so everyone can see that. But this does conclude our TA Thursday. We want to thank you again for taking the time to participate. Again, it is our hope that you have obtained relevant information to further your business through our subject matter experts, CCC and Roderick Drew. Please complete the survey that you are going to receive via email for today's event. And also to view and review any future or past TA Thursday recordings, please visit and subscribe to the Chicago MSDC YouTube channel. I posted that in the link, or excuse me, in chat. And should you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out and contact a TA team member at the programs at chicagomsdc.org. That was also posted earlier in the chat. And we also want you to save the date for our next TA Thursday, which is scheduled for April 15th, same station, 4 o'clock to 5 p.m. I want everybody to have a wonderful evening and a great weekend that's coming up. And I see some people are typing in the chat, so I'll give a minute.
Oh, comments. Thank you, everyone from CCC. Thank you, Roderick, as well. We appreciate your participation and the insight you shared on today.
Anytime.
Thanks. Hey, one quick thing. If you did not register for this event, please in the chat type in your email address so that I can get the survey out to you. Thank you.
Lovely. Great job, team. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Be safe, everyone.